Hello, 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 welcome, season's greetings. The argument over the best Christmas movie of all time has raged for decades already. It's as old as cinema itself. Many people, men, will say that Die Hard is the best Christmas movie of all time because they're trying to trick you into thinking that they have a personality. For what it's worth, I think that Bill Murray's 1988 movie Scrooged is the best Christmas movie of all time, and even I can't tell if I'm joking or not. While we will never settle the debate about the best Christmas movie of all time, we can at least bring peace to all men by deciding which is the worst. And surely the worst Christmas movie of all time is 1964's Santa Claus Conquers The Martians. Yes, that is its real, actual name. It can't be that bad, I hear you mutter, between bites of Lidl's mince pies. I've seen The Room, I've seen Battlefield Earth. How bad can this Christmas movie from 1964 really be? Okay, well here's the first minute from Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Buckle the fuck up, we're going to Mars. You asked for this. You're doing this to yourself.
When we hear sleigh bells ring, our hearts go ting-a-ling.
Like and subscribe.
Hooray for Santa Claus!
Christmas number 1 this year, let's do this. It's pointless to try to do a serious review of a movie this awful. It resists reason. A rational approach like a synopsis is not the right way to engage with a piece of media like this that has such little regard for things that make sense. So instead of trying to give you a useful introduction to this movie, let's instead just meet it on its own terms by pointing at it and laughing at it in the spirit of togetherness. So here are 9 very weird moments from Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Oh, and I didn't think this was worth actually adding to the list and taking up a space, but I did just want to mention that on the opening titles, costume designer is spelled wrong. It's just that kind of film. Number 9, Mrs. Claus. Slightly amazingly, this is the first time Santa's wife has ever been depicted in film.
There you are. We have so much to do, and you stand here dawdling, talking to this visitor.
Mr. Anderson, this is Mrs. Claus.
Unfortunately, because it's this film, the portrayal is not very good. In her first scene, she has a minor psychotic break.
Why didn't you tell me? Oh, my hair's a mess. Hello there.
Then, the second time we see her, she is frozen in time.
There's work to be done. Let's get to it.
And then with her frozen and out of the movie for now, Santa spends the rest of his time bitching about her to anyone that will listen.
Mommy and Daddy are going to be angry.
You think that's something? I can just see Mrs. Claus now. Christmas coming, and I'm not there. She'll have a fit. Good, good. Now, I'd like to get going and have the toy shop operating full blast so as I can return to Earth for Christmas. You know, Mrs. Claus is a very good-natured woman, but
Santa Claus.
Oh, Mrs. Claus is going to be very angry about this.
What a bastard. Mrs. Claus, you deserved a better movie. We all did. Number 8, Martian Camel Toe. Merry Christmas. The production values are obviously low on Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Mushrooms? The production values are obviously very low on Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. And I think that one way that they managed to save money is by basically not costuming the actors. Look at the state of this. I'm not sure if they have camels on Mars, but they definitely have the fucking toes. That's not a camel toe, that is a whole leg. Come on now, this is a family film. Oh, and while we're on the subject of unnecessary phalluses, number 7, this suspiciously erotic chair. Why is it framed so obscenely? More to the point, how do you sit on it? Like, it's like I imagine it, isn't it? Keep that off my planet. Keep your dick chairs on Mars, you perverts. Number 6. The whole set design, the whole build, the way this fucking atrocity looks. I think the whole budget for the movie must have gone on that Martian dick chair because there isn't a single dollar left on the screen. This film looks dreadful. Imagine what Ed Wood could have done with this kind of money. Look at the state of it. It's unacceptable. Look at this. This is a major climactic fight scene in a store cupboard. If you're going to set the film on Mars, why would you put them in a cupboard? It's not good enough. I'd like to point out as well that the version of the movie that I'm showing you the clips from is a remastered 1080p HD version. As far as I'm concerned, this is the best possible version of this movie you can get. By comparison to the old film version or the MST3K version that you might be familiar with, this thing looks like a work of art and it's still trash. The set doesn't just move. In parts, it actually looks dangerous. Check out this shady-ass ladder. So you mean to tell me that these Martians invented faster-than-light fission engines to travel between the vast expanse of space between Mars and Earth, and then when they arrived, they didn't have an escalator? Donald Trump had a gold one. This ladder gives me anxiety. They made an 8-year-old girl climb down it alone. I'm assuming as well they made her climb back up for another shot. The makeup smears off the actors' faces over the course of a scene, and the models, the miniatures are so bad that they're not even charming. It is drag. And because it's Christmas, if you think I'm being too harsh, then let me just add a footnote here. The producer of this movie was a TV executive who made 18 of these family films over the course of 12 months. For the express reason of making money by licensing it to TV channels where he worked. He called it money in the bank. It's not some unvarnished diamond or some passion project from a young filmmaker paying his dues in Hollywood. This is a cynical project from the start. So don't feel sorry for it. Fuck this thing all the way to Mars. Number 5, the plot. Okay, stop the list, stop the video. It is time to let you know what this whole movie is actually about. Okay, so it's like this. I think Martian children have their educations streamed directly into their brains from birth, depriving them of a childhood. In lieu of fun, they watch Earth TV broadcasts as their only form of entertainment. The build-up to Christmas makes them incredibly depressed, and Kima, the king of Mars, decides that action is needed to energize the children of Mars.
You speak wisely. I will go.
What Mars needs, he decides, is a Santa figure to bring some childhood back to Martian kids.
Santa Claus on Mars?
Will we get a Santa Claus?
There's only one Santa Claus, and he's on Earth.
Well, I guess that takes care of that.
So him and a small group of his closest allies decide to travel to Earth to kidnap Santa and bring him back to the Red Planet, where they will put him to work making toys underground. Doesn't sound like a very good deal for Santa. But there are too many fake Santas. They don't know which one is real. So they also kidnap 2 lobotomized children.
What are those funny things sticking out of your head?
Those are our antennae.
Are you a television set?
To help them find the right guy. And they take them all back to Mars. Santa and these 2 idiots. One of the Martians, Voldar, doesn't like the plan.
We will bring him to Mars.
I'm against it.
That is such a beautiful line. I love it. It's my favourite part of the entire film. It just seems to come from nowhere. Let's just have it one more time. Watch again.
Earth has had Santa Claus long enough. We will bring him to Mars.
I'm against it.
That's like, since I've been watching this movie, I've had to watch it a few times for the sake of this video. It's already entered my own vocabulary. Anytime someone says something that I don't agree with, I'm against it. Meanwhile, while all of that is happening, this line of dialogue is real.
Everything is A-OK, Santa.
Good man. Winky is in charge of our space department.
That's got nothing to do with the plot. I just don't have anywhere else to use it. I didn't want it to go to waste, so it's just going here. Anyway, let's move on. When they get back to Mars, Voldar sabotages the toy workshop they've built for Santa. The king's assistant guy, Droppo, has taken a major shine to Santa and tries on his clothes and his beard, and mistakes him for the real Santa and kidnaps Droppo. Hello, Stu here. Just editing the video now, and something occurred to me that didn't when I was writing the script. When Droppo enters dressed as Santa, wearing all of the clothes that Santa brought with him from Earth, Droppo was wearing a fake beard. Where did it come from? I know it doesn't matter at all, but that just needed to come out of me. Okay, thank you, back to it. Droppo, still dressed as the fake Santa, escapes. Voldar is thwarted, and Kimar, King of Mars, warms to Santa and the Earth children and agrees to return them all home and install Droppo as Mars Santa. Happy endings, I suppose. Okay, that was a longer synopsis than this stupid movie deserves. And I mention it in detail only because I want you to know that it is fucking bananas. What kind of frenzied, festive fever dream led to the production of this movie? You'd think a movie that combines America's deep paranoia at the height of the Cold War with a pulp science fiction story set at Christmas sounds amazing. But it's not. It is dreadful. But it's dreadful in a way that is absolutely compelling. Once you start watching this movie, you cannot stop. It's in a competition with itself to outdo the craziness of one scene after another, and you watch it like a child opening an advent calendar, wondering what's going to happen next, what's behind the next door. It's the ultimate Christmas gift, and for 69 minutes, it just keeps on giving. Number 4, Droppo's whole thing.
Droppo! Droppo, you lazy good-for-nothing, where are you? Droppo.
Droppo's performance is confusing. He's the Martian eventually chosen to be the Santa of Mars. I think he's supposed to be the king's assistant, but he's really more like the king's dog. He is absolutely and unashamedly channeling all 3 stooges all at once, and the effect is one that he doesn't ever look like he's in full control of his own body.
Droppo, you are the laziest man on Mars. Why are you sleeping during working hours?
I wasn't sleeping, Chief. It's just that I haven't been able to sleep these last few nights. I forgot how. So I was just practicing.
A slight case of Droppo.
Hi, Chief.
What are you doing here, Droppo? Droppo, get below quickly.
This is a manic performance. It's exhausting. His performance is awkward and twitchy and uncomfortable and a little bit pervy sometimes and very creepy on the whole. Believe me, Droppo is the kind of guy who would like to be creepy on the whole. You can just tell. I think it's the pants.
Oh, there's soup and beef stew and chocolate ice cream.
No, thank you, Droppo. I'm not hungry.
Come on, Billy. Oh. Well, is it all right if I have your chocolate ice cream?
Sure.
Oh, I just love chocolate ice cream.
It's not so much the acting of a human as it is 3 otters trying to control a man suit. Number 3, Torg and the polar bear. Now brace yourself, things are about to get weird. At the North Pole, as they go to try to kidnap Santa, the movie suddenly has a flash of delusional grandeur and mistakes itself for a real film. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians decides it needs to raise the stakes by putting the children in danger. The 2 kidnapped children have momentarily escaped the Martian ship down that sketchy ladder and taken flight into the snow of the North Pole. From apparently nowhere, a polar bear attacks them. Except if you look really closely, you can just about make out the fact it's not a real polar bear. This polar bear is unacceptable. This is a man. I'm not even kidding, the ladder is scarier than that man in a sheepskin rug. If the goal of this sequence was to increase the feeling of tension, it failed. All it did was to break the suspension of disbelief of any children watching it, because that polar bear is clearly a fucking man in a rug. Interestingly, that polar bear played by a young Al Pacino. On the other hand though, there's Torg. Torg is a character sent by the king to track down the children across the snow. Torg's name is mentioned, but we don't see him yet. And when he's revealed, brace yourself.
I see it, Santa's workshop. Where? Right there. See the lights? Where? The lights are moving.
That shot is pure, unrefined, military-grade nightmare fuel. Luckily though, Torg's initial terror is immediately undermined by the appearance and performance of Torg himself. Look at the fucking state of this.
What is it? I don't know.
Interestingly, playing Torg, a young Christopher Walken. 2. Cold War Paranoia. This movie was made in 1964, only a few months after the assassination of JFK. Cuba at the time remained a huge international diplomatic problem for the US, and the Soviet Union was flexing its muscles with some major leaps ahead in the space race. Nuclear war was a reality, not an abstraction. The Cold War was very much at its height. This dumb movie was not immune to those external influences. Throughout Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, stock footage and reenacted news segments actually do a pretty decent job of implying a larger impact as a result of the kidnap of Santa.
We interrupt our program with a special bulletin. An unidentified object has been spotted in orbit around the Earth. The Soviet Union denies it has launched any new space satellites. Our radar stations are tracking the spaceship, or whatever it is. The U.S. Air Force has alerted all defense commands and retaliatory units.
I know none of that stuff is funny, but it is deeply, deeply weird. It's so weird that I actually wrote an earlier script of this video in which I kind of did a spoof analysis claiming that the movie was an allegory about the Cold War. and that the whole movie was in fact a parable about the paranoia between two highly ideological states clashing, during which the true victims would be the children of the world. And then I just had to delete it, because by the time I had finished writing it, I'd convinced myself I was right. It really can be read that way if you see Earth as America, a land of freedom and fun and expression, and then you see Mars, the red planet, as a substitute for the Soviet Union, a cold, harsh, warlike and oppressive place. I decided not to do any of that stuff just because it wasn't funny. But the movie does lean into its Cold War influences. It even has a scene featuring a caricature of Walter von Braun named Walter von Green, who is brought into the movie momentarily to be weirdly racist for a moment.
Mr. Von Green, what is the space agency doing about this?
Well, they have mobilized all the men and equipment in our Starshot project. And we have rushed our astronauts into an intensive program for the final phase of their training. Now our Starshot ship is supposed to undergo 6 months of test flights. But we are going to forget about the testing and go after those Martian monkeys.
What's interesting about that strange little scene is that in the logic of the movie, in the story of the movie, NASA really does send astronauts immediately into space to chase down the Martians. And then they're never heard of again. Walter von Green talks about how risky a mission would be, sends them into space, and then that's it. The movie never covers what happens to them. They died. They died. That's the only reasonable conclusion. Those astronauts died. Number 1. Voldar is the best movie villain of all time. Fight me. Okay, so at last we come to number 1, and the reason why I wanted to do this video in the first place. The number 1 weirdest thing about the weirdest Christmas movie of all time is Voldar. Voldar and his unbelievably hypnotically compelling performance. Voldar, you'll remember, hopefully, is the bad guy.
I'm against it.
I know that everybody in the movie is a bad guy in one way or another, including Santa, and the way that he relentlessly bitches about his loving wife. But Voldar is the villain's villain. So everyone's bad, but Voldar is another level. He is a moustache-twirling, incomprehensibly insane 19th century vaudevillian villain. And it is glorious. It is a thing of beauty to behold. This performance is wild.
Our children are fine the way they are. I don't want any Santa Claus bringing them toys and games. They'll start playing and laughing and running underfoot. So that's what the Earth people call a city, eh? How primitive. Look at all those buildings above ground. But you won't escape me. You're through.
Voldar, why don't you, relax?
You're going to relax permanently. All this trouble over a fat little man in a red suit. Good work, Tog. Now destroy them. Crush them. Crush them, Tog. Do as I say.
Are you a television set?
Stupid question.
Voldar ain't got time for your Earth shit.
What's soft and round, and you put it on a stick, and you toast it in a fire, and it's green?
I don't know, what?
A marshmallow!
That's what you're all becoming.
Voldar don't like your jokes.
No, you can't take him now. It's too near Christmas.
Quiet, you.
But
It's honestly worth tolerating the rest of the awfulness of this movie just to drink in the craziness of this performance. It's like every time he's on screen, I'm like, I am locked in. Open the taps. Let's go, baby. I am ready to receive Voldar. Voldar's such a maniac. He's not even scared of the fucking ladder.
This action must take place swiftly. We can't afford to make any mistakes. Argo, you cover the rear of the workshop. Rigna, Voldar, cover the front entrance. I'll direct Torgs. Voldar isn't here. Ring, go up and tell Voldar.
He just leaps right off like, fuck your ladder. Voldar ain't got time for your fucking ladder. And my favourite bit of the entire film, apart from that line earlier, which is also Voldar, my favourite part of the entire movie is when, I cannot believe I'm about to say this, Voldar tries to blow Santa and the two children out of the airlock.
The warning bell sounds, and in 60 seconds, that door opens.
Santa, he locked us in.
Imagine the balls it must take to make a Christmas movie in which you try to eject Santa Claus into the vacuum of space. I think I might have made a mistake, you know. I don't know. I'm no longer sure if this is the worst Christmas movie ever made. I'm starting to wonder if it might be the best. So that's it. That's your lot. The movie is only 69 minutes long, so I do encourage you to actually go and watch it, because it is a trip. And then immediately afterwards go and watch the MST3K version of it as well, which is really what made it famous. And now that I've shat all over this Christmas movie for the last 20 minutes or so, I think it's only fair that I hand over control back to Santa to say goodbye and happy holidays to the fine children of Earth. Take it away, Santa.
Well, hello, Santa. How are you feeling today? Tired?
No, I'm not tired. But my finger is.